What is going on, you guys? It's Forerunner, and today is my last video of my 2014/2015 NHL season predictions, and the last division we are covering is the Atlantic Division. And like I said in the previous episodes, that in the Pacific and the Central Division there are 7 teams, but in the Atlantic and Metropolitan Division there are 8. So we're going through 8 teams today, and the 8th team that I believe is going to be in last place in the Atlantic Division is going to be the Buffalo Sabres. Now, they do have some offensive pieces with Matt Moulson, Cody Hodgson, Drew Stafford, Chris Stewart, and Tyler Ennis, but other than that, there isn't much there. And when your best player is Matt Moulson, it's kind of hard to produce anything that's offensively relevant. Now, they still have young guys. They have potential to have some offensive threats, but right now I'm not really seeing much of a big threat at all with their offensive core. They have a decent D as well with Tyler Myers, Josh Georges, and Mazzaros, and their goalie situation with Enroth and Neuwirth. I believe these guys are both kind of in the backup goalie type of scenario. I don't think one of them can rise up to be that number one goalie, but one of them has to be because they're one of them. So that puts a lot of burden on one of these guys to rise up and be the number one. And I don't know. I believe this team still has a lot of problems, a lot of hiccups they need to get to work through. So just with the decent offense, just decent all around, and goaltending being questionable, I can't really see them being anywhere else but in at least the 7th or 8th place. And for purposes of this video, I just had to pick, and I put them in the 8th spot. So the next team, the team that I think is going to be in that number 7 spot, not last place, but very close to that, is going to be the Ottawa Senators. And this really hurts me because I do like the Ottawa Senators a lot, because they do have some good offensive players, like Bobby Ryan from the Anaheim Ducks. My boy, I miss him, but I mean, he's moved on to Ottawa. And they have Milan McCulloch, MacArthur, Kyle Turris, and Mika Zibanejad. And those are some pretty good offensive pieces, but they're kind of like it kind of goes back to what I was talking about with the Sabres. They have some offensive pieces, but I mean, Bob Ryan is good, and they can base, and also with Kyle Turris and Mika Zibanejad, they have players where they can base a franchise upon. It's just I don't think they've clicked enough. They don't have the chemistry yet, and it's just going to take some time for this offense to click. And they have good D. I mean, they have Erik Karlsson and Chris Phillips and Mathot, and with goalies, they have Craig Anderson and Robin Leonard, and they have good goalies, but like I said, they only have single pieces in offense and defense like Bobby Ryan and Karlsson, and that I don't believe that's enough firepower to deal with the rest of this conference. So that puts the Senators in a kind of difficult position, so I have to put them in another 7th spot. In the number 6 spot, I believe, is going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I'm sorry, Leafs fans, I believe you're going to have to wait another year to see your Leafs in the playoffs. Who knows? These are just my predictions. They might be wrong, but I believe that they won't make the playoffs again this year, but they do have a lot of potential. You have Phil Kessel, obviously, with Joffrey Lupul, James Van Riemsdyk, Nazem Kadri, David Clarkson, Tyler Bozak, Peter Holland, and David Booth. You have some pretty good offensive talent right there. And then, yeah, on D, you have Jay Gardner, Phaneuf, Polak, and Robidas. And in goal, you have Reimer and Bernier. And with the Leafs, I believe they have a good offense and defense. I really do. I do think they have those pieces put together. I just don't think their goalies have it in them. Reimer has been super inconsistent, and Bernier, if Bernier rises to the occasion this season, I can see them moving up more to the top of this list and maybe even making the playoffs. But for the purposes of this list, and what I know now, I really don't see that happening. I really want to pull for the Leafs because I do like the Leafs, but at the same time, it's frustrating. I don't think they're going to get to the playoffs. But like I said, if Bernier rises to the occasion, I do think the offense and defense can pull through to where they can probably make a push for that 8th seed spot in the playoffs. So Moving on to the 5th team, I believe it's going to be the Florida Panthers. And with them, they have a very... They're pretty much decent all around. I mean, in offense, you have Jonathan Huberdeau, Jussi Jokinen, Kopecky, Fleshman, Boys, Boland, and Bergenheim. And then on defense, you have Brian Campbell, Willie Mitchell, and they have that first-round draft pick, Aaron Ekblad, that's supposed to have a lot of promise. And they have Kulikov. But the big addition to their team is Luongo. They got Luongo back, and I believe that Luongo will help the Panthers improve, and he'll get them a lot more wins than they did last season. But I do not think they will be a playoff team. So if they had a little bit, like 1 or 2 more pieces to fit in that offensive and defensive core, I do think they would be higher on this list. But just for that fact alone, that they do not have enough of those pieces, I believe they're staying in that 5th spot. So moving on to the 4th team on the list, I believe it's going to be the Detroit Red Wings. And the Red Wings this year, I think they're going to be fighting for a wild card spot. I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs just as an issue-in, because this conference is pretty tough now. I mean, because a lot of teams have risen to the occasion. The Red Wings aren't just taking away and just running off with these wins anymore, especially because the divisions have been changed up. So that puts a lot more pressure on them, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for them to get in the playoffs this year. Like I said, they're just going to be fighting for that wild card spot, but who knows? I may be wrong. But they have a good, versatile offense with Pavel Datsyuk, Henrik Zetterberg, Abdicator, Nyquist, Tatar, Helm, Franzen, Miller, and Stephen Weiss. And they have a solid defense, obviously, with Kronwall, DeKaiser, Eriksson, Brennan Smith, Kindle, and Quincy, and they have Jimmy Hart in net. So they have the pieces. It's just the big question is injuries. Can Datsyuk and Zetterberg stay healthy? Because, I mean, I think Zetterberg is back. I'm not sure, but I've been hearing a bunch of news in the hockey news lately that Datsyuk is still fighting injury. They don't know if he's going to be back yet. And the biggest question is, can the Red Wings superstars stay healthy? And if they don't, can the young guns in the Red Wings organization, like Tatar and Nyquist and Helm, can they rise to the occasion and bring the Red Wings back to the playoffs? And that's pretty big questions. When your 2 biggest superstars in your organization are not healthy, it's going to be hard to secure that playoff spot. So that's why I'm putting them on the cusp. I believe that they'll get in the playoffs this year, but it's going to be on account of a wild card. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the number 3 team. And I do believe this is going to be a playoff team, and that is going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning. This team is going to be great this year. And it was unfortunate that Steven Stamkos got hurt, because I believe they would have been way better last year than what they already were, because they were a great team last year. Obviously, it doesn't need to be said already, but you already have great offensive talent with Steven Stamkos, Philip Dilla, Callahan, Brian Boyle, Tyler Johnson, Palat, and Brendan Morrow in there for leadership. And then you also have great defense with Matt Carl, Victor Hedman, Jason Garrison, Anton Strawman, and Eric Brewer, also for veteran experience. And then in goal you have Ben Bishop and Bakov. That is a great team. Ben Bishop is probably one of the best goalies in the league right now, very underrated. And these guys are definitely a playoff team. I see these guys definitely in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they're going to be in this 3rd spot. I don't think they will be able to beat out the next 2 teams, but like I said, they will definitely be a playoff team. And that takes us to the number 2 team, and that is going to be the Montreal Canadiens. Now, the Montreal Canadiens have a very above-average offense, with Max Pacioretty leading the way, with Thomas Buchanan, Lars Eller, Rene Bourque, Desjardins, Galchenyuk, and Brendan Gallagher. But their defense is where they shine, because they have PK Subban, Andrei Markov, Tom Gilbert, and Alexei Emelin. And they also have Carey Price, one of the best goalies in the league. So with that, they have the big pieces set. They have Pacioretty, they have Subban, they have Price. Very big milestones and cornerstones on this team. And I believe that they are just going to mop up their division, and they're going to get to this 2nd spot. So with that being said, we're going to move down to our number 1 pick. The best team in this division is going to be the Boston Bruins, and this is not a surprise at all. They're by far the best team in this division, hands down. They're not going to win by a landslide, but it's going to be pretty decisive because the Canadiens are going to give them a run for the money, but they're still going to be up by at least 3 or 4 games, I believe. So the Bruins are strong in all categories, the most balanced team in this whole division. In their offense, they have Patrice Bergeron, Louis Eriksson, David Krejci, Lucic, Marchand, Paille, Riley Smith, Campbell, and Chris Kelly. And on defense, very strong as well, Zdeno Chara, Torrey Krug, Dougie Hamilton, and Seidenberg and McQuaid. Johnny Boychuk, sadly, is not on the team anymore because he got traded to the Islanders. But then you have Rask and Net. This is a crazy strong team. It's going to be a no-brainer that they are going to be in the number 1 spot this year unless injuries strike, and then maybe on key players like Rask. If Rask goes down, then maybe they'll drop a couple of places, but I still believe that this team will be a playoff team, and if all goes well, they will still be the number 1 spot on this division, though. So what do you guys think? I could be wrong. What are your guys' opinions? What do you guys think this division is going to map out? Where do you place these teams? Please let me know in the comments below, and if you did like the video, please give me a like and let me know how this series was. I really enjoyed making this series, and hopefully we will enjoy this NHL season just as much. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.